Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to wake up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
Yeah, man. We made it. I think it's arguably the best day in all of sports. This is coming from the football guy. We'll talk about that here, obviously. It's Wake Up War Chant on this Thursday. I'm Aslan Hajavandi alongside Corey Clark. It's ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee, brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. Those three awesome locations over in College Town. Probably no better time to check them out for a first time if you haven't already been than on the Thursday of the NCAA Tournament starting. Central, Madison Social Township, that's their properties. Go check them out. Corey, how are you, friend?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Good. So I think we have a good balance here, right? Because did you clarify, so is college football number one in your hierarchy, then baseball, like professional baseball, or is it baseball overall number one, then college football number two?
College football is my single favorite sport.
Okay.
But you're right. These 2 days are probably my favorite 2 days in just sports overall.
Can't beat it.
It's awesome. And what people, I think the younger folks that listen to this don't remember is, man, it used to just be it was on CBS. So there would be 4 games going on at once, and you only got one of them. Yep. And they would do live look-ins occasionally during halftime, but the only way you could keep up to date was seeing the scroll, the scores on the top, and hoping that, maybe if it gets close, they'll switch us to that game. But, man, now you get you get to watch all 4 games because TBS,
True TV,
wherever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it's a lot more fun. The tournament's even more fun now than it was when I was a kid, and you can't say that about much when it comes to sports these days. But the fact that we can watch every game, when back then, crazily, we could watch 8 of the 60 that were played.
Yeah,
we couldn't even I remember when Florida State played Western Kentucky in the Sweet 16 in 93, 92, 93, whenever their last run was. I had to go to a sports bar to watch the game because it wasn't airing in Atlanta. The other game that was being played at that time was airing in Atlanta. So the only way I could watch it is to go to a sports bar that got a satellite feed. That's crazy to think about. That wasn't that long ago. Just 25 years ago.
We was robbed. We was robbed of a lot of good basketball. So, yeah, kids, enjoy this. The technology, it's a fantastic thing. Well, yeah, I mean, living in Mississippi for a while, football is king, which is fantastic for me because that's my favorite sport. But even the high school football coaches would just talk about, I remember they would always tweet, they'd be like, listen, I this is my life teaching kids football, but these 2 days, you just can't beat it. They're the best in all sports. And I'm like, pretty much, it really is. It's amazing. And it was the 1993 season. Florida State had beat Indiana Evansville 82-70 in Orlando, then gone and beat Tulane 94-63.
Yeah,
and Western Kentucky, that was an overtime game, 81-78.
Yeah, no, in Western Kentucky I think Western Kentucky had knocked off Seton Hall, who was the number 2 seed. That's why Florida State was playing them in the Sweet 16 instead of Seton Hall.
He's totally right.
Is that right?
Yeah. Literally, Western Kentucky beat Seton Hall a 2 seed. Gosh, man.
Sorry,
I think
buddy.
Maybe we need to do like a Stump the Schwab thing.
Right.
Or I just sit here and pull up like random Florida State
exactly. But if it was anything in the last 4 years, I won't remember any of it. But something from 1993, I remember.
So it's like, what's going to happen? Like, at some point, does your mind then, like, will 1986, 7, and 8 then get purged out of your memory, and then 2013, 14, and 15 will replace
judging
it?
by my dad and how because my dad had a similar brain, all the stuff from his childhood up till he was about 40, it was still in there. It was just locked. Yeah. The stuff from recent years, it just kind of flows in and flows right back out real quick. Right. It's weird. I think maybe most people's minds work like that. Like the stuff you remember that was really important when you're a kid kind of just sticks in there. You may not remember the score, but you remember where you were. Remember who won, who the best player was, stuff like that.
I need to see if I can elbow my way into the Tom Lang podcast because hockey was my thing when I was a kid. So I remember watching a lot of hockey and remembering a lot of heartbreaking losses for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I was a bandwagon fan, obviously, because I was a kid.
Say, they win more than they lose.
Yeah, well, there were some times. There were some horrible ones, man. I used to just throw the biggest temper tantrums and they would lose. My poor mother having to deal with me, man. But that's neither here nor there. Hey, how was your dad a Florida State fan? How did that work out? Was he Georgian or did he actually go to your?
No, he was born in Pennsylvania, then moved to Broward County when he was 12, and then went to Florida State. Yeah.
Oh, you got some of that Broward blood in you. Look at you. Is that where the bouginess in you comes from?
Of course, man. I was in the Army on the GI Bill, and then when he got out of the Army, came to Florida State in the mid '60s, the Bill Peterson era, when they got pretty good at football. He was here for that.
Awesome,
Solidnikov and that crew.
Yeah, they're pretty good football players. So we're going to unveil our picks, pick by pick in the NCAA tournament. We'll begin right now. Number one. No, we're going to focus on Florida State stuff.
All 65 games. But the tournament starts today. I know we had some play-in games and all that nonsense, and that's what they're called, by the way. We don't call them first round or opening round games, whatever the NCAA wants us to call them. They're play-in games. You're playing for the right to get in the tournament. And also, I've always thought, not that you asked me, why don't the last 8 at-large teams should be the ones playing in the play-in games? Not 2 teams that won their conference. Let them go get the real experience. Like whoever Radford beat the other night, LIU Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn.
Well, they got to go to Dayton for a game that didn't even feel like the real tournament. Let them go to the real tournament, play a big seed, see what that's like on that stage. I feel like it's weird that we do that to 4 of the conference champions.
What gets me is the whole 11 seed.
That's weird too.
You're playing in, but you're an 11 seed.
I guess that's their way of telling us that 11s are really the last teams in the field. They put them as 11s.
Yeah. That would have been nice to see like Syracuse play UCLA or something like that. That'd be a good thing too, right? Because at the end of the day, how much like juice is there in seeing Radford play Long Island?
0. That's why it starts at 6:30. It doesn't make any sense. So, it just makes to me. You get those 8 at-large teams. They're happy that they still have a chance to play, and you get better ratings, obviously. But also, I think it's more fair. A team that wins its conference tournament should be in the NCAA tournament. A play-in game to me doesn't count as being in the NCAA tournament.
That's fair enough. I want to pull up this quote. I can't find it right now on Twitter. I was going to have you. I was going to play a little game for you, but I can't find it. It's going to be bad radio for me. I'll look for it after the break or whatever.
Yeah, well, during the break.
Well, actually, I'll do it right now. All right. So
you found it. Okay.
I'm going to ask you this. I don't know if you already know what's happened here, but so this is the quote from a coach. Everybody in this town knows how much I love his school. My focus is the school that he's working at, and how we can make a run and keeping these guys playing in the NIT tournament. So, again, he says, everybody in this town knows how much I love this school. My full focus is this school, this basketball program, and how we can make a run and keep trying to keep these guys playing in the NIT tournament. Is this coach still the coach at that school, or did he just accept a job elsewhere?
I feel like he just accepted a job elsewhere, or is being rumored heavily to take that job and will have it soon.
Yeah, Kermit Davis.
Oh, the Middle Tennessee State guy? Where's he going?
Jim Lamar's guy. Ole Miss.
Oh, okay. All right, that's good.
That's for him. I think he actually has some Mississippi ties as well, so that works out pretty well for, I think, both sides. And listen, I mean, they went 24 and something, I want to say, and they didn't get in. They were
in the top 25 at one point.
Was St. Mary's actually in the top 25 most recently, and they still didn't make the tournament?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
It's just they don't care what the AP voters think at all. The committee, not at all.
Are you an AP voter? Were you an AP voter?
No, I've
got that Heisman vote, right?
I do have the Heisman vote, and I've been asked to do the AP vote. But man, especially for basketball, are you kidding me? How do those people do it? It's hard to pay attention. It's just hard. I don't know who's good and who's not. There's too many darn teams. I would like AP. I wouldn't do it in football either. But at least in football, I would know I would never be ranking Middle Tennessee State or St. Mary's. But in basketball, you have to pay attention to hundreds of schools.
300.
Yeah.
300 some odd schools.
I didn't know. Well,
it is a bit bizarre.
All right. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. It's not impactful at all in either sport anymore.
Well, clearly, yeah, because the playoff doesn't really factor anymore. It's not part of the formulation process.
St. Mary's was like 17th in the country in a poll, loses a game in their tournament, and doesn't even make the tournament. In conference tournament, doesn't even make the big dance.
How can that happen? Like, how can they reconcile the fact that writers who have watched hours upon hours of basketball throughout a season, maybe not that particular team, but have, formulated enough, transitive property stuff where, I saw this team play and you didn't see Middle Tennessee State play, but you saw Southern Miss play.
Right.
And you saw what Florida State did to them. So part of you can't really feel too bad for Middle Tennessee State not making the field because you saw a team that they
losing
lost
to Southern Miss is almost does need to keep you out of the field no matter how.
But the selection committee is like, yeah, they think this team is the 24th best team in the nation. Now we're not going to let them make our 68-team tournament.
Hey, I think their thinking is, man, the AP voters were really wrong.
No love for the media, man.
No.
It's a constant battle. No one likes us anymore.
Well, that's true. Anymore. When were we ever on the good side of people's graces?
Yeah, touche.
Yeah.
All right, let's step aside, reset the show. When we come back, Florida State alum getting paid. And I don't know, did we see this coming? Corey probably did. I don't think I did. We'll talk about that next right here on Wake Up War Chant, ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
Darn pop-ups and video ads.
Are you wasting your time again on clickbait FSU updates that are bloated down with ads?
Yeah. And after crashing my computer, the information isn't even up to date. You're on warchant.com. What's really going on with the Seminoles?
For the real scoop, you'll need to get your own War Chant subscription.
What's it cost?
Free. There's a 30-day trial offer right now.
You know I like free. Sign me up.
Use the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Nobody has more accurate and timely information on the Noles than warchant.com.
Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole source.
Brutal day on Wednesday night. Really weren't able to get to it on the program, or rather Tuesday night. Craig Mack, flavor in your ear. I'm kicking you. This guy passed away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's too bad.
And then Stephen Hawking, our favorite theoretical physicist, also passed away.
Yes. Yep.
Do you have any
The only one I know, but still my favorite.
So was there any certain equation or formula that Hawking worked on that you really think was perhaps the breakthrough in terms of our understanding of time and space?
Yeah, all of them. All of them were really impressive. Really impressive guy.
That's Corey Clark. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. This is Wake Up War Chant here on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee. Brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. There are 3 awesome locations over in the College Town District, Central, Madison Social, and Township.
I never realized until maybe that movie came out a couple years ago, that Hawking had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. I always thought, just because of the Lou Gehrig story, I always thought when you contracted ALS, it was a death sentence and it was quick.
Developed.
Well, yeah, not contracted. That's not the right word. But when you got ALS, it was a quick death sentence because it had been for Lou Gehrig. But he lived with it for decades.
Yeah, that's actually a good point because there was the fall of Lou Gehrig. That was a pretty rapid deterioration of his life.
Yeah, it was within a year of him, having to be pinch hit for in the Yankees lineup, he was dead. So I thought it was a very quickly developing, quick-killing disease. But, it's still awful. It's terrible. But I guess he had a different kind than Lou Gehrig.
Pretty full life. Yeah, Steve Gleason, who blocked that punt for the Saints, is battling that and had a pretty nice, thoughtful tweet about that. So, yeah.
Oh, did he? Good. It's an awful, awful disease.
Crazy that you could be that, still be that intelligent and have your mind still work at such a high level and be dealing with something like that. I have no excuse for why I'm never sharp.
Well, you're not
all.
as smart as he is.
Clearly.
There's your excuse.
Yeah, thanks.
Neither am I. Hey, it's not a con.
Facts are facts.
Yeah, I was going to say
facts are facts.
You're not as athletic as Jalen Ramsey. Those are just facts. Those aren't shots.
Put us in a phone booth. I have the same athleticism as him, but in open space, I think Jalen has the not.
You think that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I do too. I think that too.
I remember I filmed a promo for our high school football show in Mississippi, and part of it was like me having a dream that I was actually playing in this big rivalry game. So they suited me up in the team uniform or whatever, and I was going to play cornerback on the star receiver at the opposing high school. So he was actually in the commercial with me, and I'm like, all right, so I'm just going to try to jam you here, and then part of the commercial is like, you get past me, the ball's in the air, and then we both jump up for it, and then I wake up in the middle of the ball being in the air. So he's like, what do you want me to do? He's like, you want me to just run like a slant? I'm like, no, I'm like, just come at me. I'm like, come at me. I'm like, I'm going to jam you. And then, when you rub off, I'm like, I'll follow the ball. And dude, this kid was like 16, 17 years old, and I was 30 at the time or whatever. Just absolutely. I'm like, oh my, I felt like I got into a car wreck. The way he hit me, I'm like, oh my gosh. And he just didn't even do anything that explosive or athletic, but I could not keep up with him at all. And I'm like,
it's violent and it's sudden. Yeah. And your body just isn't, if you're not used to it, you're not used to it.
No. And I'm like, all right, let's scrap this idea. It's not going to work. So that's one story. Here's the other story I wanted to get to. Let's actually get to this. It has to do with Florida State stuff, and then I can talk about my life. Nigel Bradham, 5 years, $40 million.
Yeah, how about that? Good for him. How much is guaranteed? Did we know? Do we know? Probably not $40 million, but a good portion of it is guaranteed. I bet at least half of it.
Probably somewhere on there. I mean, did we foresee this happening with him? I mean, I don't know. Like, he was another guy.
So his last year was 2009, would have been his last year. So 2010 was his first year in the league, and now we're 9 years into his. I mean, what a nice career he's had. He's got to be 30 years old and just signed a big old deal, got a ring. No, I did not. I knew he was a fantastic athlete, and I knew he was better than we thought he was because of the defense he played on was so porous. But I did not see him having what will amount to an 11, 12, 13-year career.
And then to get this kind of re-up when you're getting to this part of your career, I guess, especially when you're a linebacker, it's awesome for him. But yeah, man, like you covered him back
with the Eagles.
Yeah,
they're
keeping him.
Yeah, no, I covered him when he was in high school. I covered a couple of his games his senior year in high school. Really nice kid. He was a huge star in Wakulla. Like, he was a 5-star phenom. And obviously, Wakulla is a small town about 30 minutes from Tallahassee that does not, or a county, 30 minutes from Tallahassee that does not get a ton of 5-star phenoms. And so he was treated like a conquering hero, and now he is one. I mean, it's a really kind of a cool story. And he had some dumb mistakes he made off the field while he's been up there in the NFL, but a nice guy. I think he's Wakulla's really proud of him. Florida State fans should be really proud of him because he was a good player on some awful defenses while he was in Tallahassee.
Very polite way of putting it. 28 years old he is right now. 5 years, $40 million as of air. I can't find exactly how much of it's guaranteed. It's probably not 20, but it's probably like 15 to 16. I mean, still, it's a good day. Might want to rename that stadium Bradham Stadium over there in Crawfordville. Give him some love.
Yeah, man. Good for maybe
Felipe Franks Field at Nigel Bradham Stadium.
I don't know. Maybe Keith Gavin Field at Nigel Bradham Stadium.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got Keith, too, right? I mean, come on. That's not that bad. I mean, for a school that size.
Oh, no, I'm saying back then, this was 10 years ago or 11 years ago, he was the star. Like, they've had some guys come through there since, but even those guys weren't quite at the level that Bradham was as far as a star and a 5-star super-duper recruit.
I mean, Keith had Alabama hot on his tail. Or you're talking about the guys before Nigel?
No, I'm talking about, but Gavin wasn't like considered the number one receiver in the country.
But Bradham was just like the dude.
Yeah, and he looked like the Hulk as a 17-year-old kid. It was nuts what he looked like. It didn't look normal.
Coming out of high school, who do you think was going to have the better career, Ernie Sims or Bradham?
Oh, Ernie for sure. And Ernie might have without the concussion issues that he had. Oh, you talking about at Florida State or
just overall?
Yeah, I thought Ernie
both places.
Ernie was a crazy athlete, man, and Bradham is too. But Ernie to be that big and that fast and apparently that mean on the field was pretty remarkable. But he just had the concussion issues and never could really get a footing in the NFL.
Those are the two guys who lured me, as well as Adrian McPherson, into signing up for an account on War Chant. I first ever heard about War Chant at FedEx, my old job. Our guy
on the docks when you're working on the docks?
Working on the docks, yeah. I remember the whole Adrian McPherson thing was happening, and he's
Florida
like giving me.
Should have gotten Adrian Peterson. Yeah. That might have helped.
Yeah, he's giving me all this information. I'm like, where are you getting this from? He's like, warchant.com, man. Check it out. I'm like, all right. And then I started seeing all the previews about, Cromartie and Ernie Sims. I'm like,
about the recruitment?
Yeah, the recruitment of those guys. So it was like 2002 season going to 2003 in the recruiting. I'm like, all right, I'm sold. I'm signed for this.
When I first heard of War Chant during the Leon Washington, Lorenzo Booker, there was a ton of Pat Watkins.
Oh yeah,
that class that was like the number one class in the country.
Really
Buster Davis. That's when I first heard about it. Was that class, and that class was incredible. Didn't end up winning a ton of games, but as far as they got 6 or 7 5s. Broderick Bunkley, just some really incredible players in that class. Certainly incredible high school players.
They got that ACC tournament victory, though, or the ACC tournament, that ACC
they
championship
got the ACC championship win, yeah. They went to the Orange Bowl their second year.
Should have beat Penn State. Didn't we miss an extra point?
No, I was talking about the Miami game in 2003. But, yeah, they went to 2 Orange Bowls. Should have won both of them. Didn't because they couldn't kick. But, those days are over. They can kick now.
They can. We can kick. It's fantastic. It's amazing. A note from yesterday, some feedback from Heisman 20. Says he's a Droid guy, but he's going to dust off the old iTunes account for the review after making it onto the show. He says it's okay to tell Jimbo thank you for the wins, F you for the sins.
Oh, there you go. That's a good motto to have.
Put that on a bumper sticker, man. Sell that. Thinks Willie will do great, but we have not seen him coach this team or a team with this kind of talent, so you have to use data from his former teams to speculate, which is what you did, I guess, right, in your terms of your allotment of rushes.
Yes, correct.
But did you go back and look at USF, or you just
I did.
Use Oregon?
He ran, but the difference was with USF, he ran the Flowers kid a ton.
Yes,
like that kid ran for 1,500 yards one of those seasons.
He did.
He ain't doing that here. They just neither one of these guys are him as far as a runner, and I really don't think he's going to want to either one of those guys running that much. I think he'll run one. I mean, I would be surprised if either one of those guys ran for 400 yards in a season, much less 1,490 or whatever Quentin Flowers was running for.
Do you think that's what he ultimately is going to want?
Running quarterback?
Another Flowers kind, but a little more of a developed passer?
Man, I don't know. I really don't know. I'd like to talk to him about it. If that was more out of just straight up necessity, he didn't have. That was the one thing that the defense couldn't account for, and he had to do it, but he didn't have Cam Akers and Patrick and LeBourne and these guys, or if that's what he envisions. I just think it's risky, man. That's 200 carries for your quarterback is a ton.
I just feel like, I don't know, that like Willie, maybe
but
Willie
he might
saw
be.
flashes of himself. Maybe Willie started vicariously living through Quentin. Like, man, I wish I would have been able to do all this when I was playing ball. And you have the ability, so let me just go ahead and let the reins off you and do what you got to do.
But legitimately, I know Ira brought it up last week, but if that's what you want, a running quarterback, man, Cam Akers, let him do it then. Ain't no better quarterback. He's never going to have a better.
Just one time from Myers convinced you to
no,
put
I'm
Cam
saying
quarterback?
If that's really what he's looking for in a quarterback, is a true dual threat where you have to be able to run, and that's a big part of his offense is a running quarterback. Hey, he might not be the best thrower. Well, Quentin Flowers wasn't the best thrower. You won 10 games with him, and I guarantee he's a better runner than Quentin Flowers is. That's all I'm saying. I don't think he's going to do that. I'm not saying he should do that. But if that's really how he wants to run his offense, then Cam Akers is really good. Let him run the ball 20 times from out of the shotgun.
Maybe we should ask Cam that, because I don't know. Didn't you say in your running back preview story that Cam actually kind of asked the new coaching staff, or he's like, listen, I want to rush for 2,000 yards, or was that?
I didn't mention that in my story, but
right, must have been another guy.
Must have been another site you were on. Yeah. Another site you're reading. I mean, I'm sure he might have, but man, he doesn't need to be rushing for 2,000 yards. There's too many other good backs, and that's way too many carries. What do I mean carries going to have to rush for 2,000 yards? 400? 320.
When you're salting the clock away, though, man, piece of cake.
You got the big kid behind him too. Let him run some too.
But yeah, I don't think anybody. Maybe the guy at Oregon last year was the first. I think most of the times, his second leading rusher, if it's a running back, I'm not talking about Quentin Flowers being his second leading rusher behind Marlon Mack,
is the quarterback.
No. I mean, the second leading running back on his teams have usually only had between 300 and 500 yards on the season.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying.
But the running back.
Right.
The number 2 running back. Quentin Flowers would be the number 2 running option behind Marlon Mack. But that's the whole thing where I'm trying to figure out this, this stable
I didn't look
thing.
at the Western Kentucky years at all.
I haven't. I didn't go. I figured I would just stay within Division I.
I do know he uses freshman wide receivers.
That'll be pretty cool, right?
That'd be something to see, huh?
I know I feel bad because when we were talking about it with Gene for the spring previews, I'm like, who's going to be the best receiver out of this crop? And he's like, what are you talking about, currently or the guys that are coming in? And I was like, well, no, let's talk about the guys that are already here, because that's such a foreign concept to me. I'm not expecting anything from this receiving core. I'm not expecting anything from Warren Thompson or Trayshawn Harrison, because I'm like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, you're hoping 2021 they can get on the field.
Yeah, you 18-year-old freshman, what are you doing? It's just hold people's pads. Just carry Keith's pads, carry Nooney's pads. You're not going to do anything, but they probably will.
That's an actual possibility this year. A distinct possibility.
Crazy how that works. Let's step aside for another break. We'll be right back after this here on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee. It's Wake Up War Chant.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I can just see, Corey Clark calling for a pick and roll, just breaking off, pulling up from the elbow, jump shot, bang.
and just running back down court.
Yeah.
Good. As soon as it leaves my hand, good. Good.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Exactly. How were you any good at pickup basketball? I know you put your name in the NBA draft.
And I didn't get selected. Yeah, I was pretty good. I could shoot and I could pass. I wasn't all overly athletic, not a great rebounder, but I could shoot and pass. I had a funny form, goofy looking shot, but it was effective. When I was playing every day in college, obviously I was decent.
Yeah.
Now if I tried to play, I can't move.
Better or worse than Lonzo Ball? Your sort of mechanics on your shot.
Worse. Because I hoist it kind of from the shoulder because it's from when I was a kid and I had to do that and I never corrected my form. But I finish okay. I finish with pulling down the shade and with the rotation on the ball. But it takes me a while to get it off.
I feel like we should go to. Do we have any good relationships with high schools around here? I mean, you used to be the high school beat guy. Can we maybe just get some racks out there and do a 3-point? I just want to run
we could do it at Florida State. I have a better relationship with them over there. We could do it at the basketball training facility.
All right. Because I believe you, because I was joking around. I remember one time when I was covering high school in Mississippi and everyone was talking about basketball, and they're like, yeah, I think when I was doing that commercial, like, man, I hope you're better at other sports. Or like, you good at basketball? I'm like, I can play defense. Or like, people who can't play basketball, that's what they say. Like, if you're not good at basketball, the first
you need
thing,
to be a high energy guy. If you can't play, at least be high energy.
Like if you're picking and there's like 2 guys left and there's a last pick and you're like, yo, are you good at basketball? And the guy's like, I can play defense. You're like, all right, forget you. I'll take the other guy. You go ahead and roll the dice with that guy because it's probably going to work out fine. It's Wake Up War Chant. This show brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. And there are 3 great properties over in College Town, Central Township, and Madison Social. Go ahead, check them all out. Check them on out. You won't be disappointed. I'm pretty sure you won't be. You can come at me if you are, and we'll talk it through, work through your emotions, and we'll try it again and figure out how it goes for you. So talking about basketball, rolling the dice, terrible segue.
No, was it? Don't beat yourself up.
It's fine. I'm not going to beat myself up. So let's talk about Hamilton first, not the play. Have you been to the play? Did you ever make it up to New York to catch Hamilton?
Of course. No. What's the matter with you? I mean, I know of it.
Calling Leonard Hamilton like anybody's ever called him that in his entire life. But, I mean, it's such a weird sort of relationship or dynamic that exists at this school. You talked about it yesterday with Florida State baseball. We're so close to this program that, yeah, they might make errors or they might make base running gaffes, but is that happening everywhere? And the same problems that happen here at Florida State in basketball, quote, maybe a lack of coaching. How many great X and O coaches are out there? Remember how Louisville lost to Virginia a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
I mean, they just absolutely
I'll never
meltdown.
forget it. It's the craziest loss in history. It cost them the tournament.
If that happened, wasn't in the tournament. That was just a regular
it cost
season.
them the tournament appearance.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, correct. I mean, if that would have happened here, I mean, just the absolute teeth gnashing, hand wringing that would have occurred.
Well, imagine, and Ira brought it up yesterday on Headlines. Imagine remember the Clemson game here when Clemson had a 17-point lead in the second half and then just started turning the ball over left and right and lost in overtime. Imagine if Florida State had done that at Clemson.
Right.
That happens. Florida State won a lot of really close games where other teams kind of melted down the stretch. It just happens. They beat North Carolina. How'd that happen? They scored Duke. 93 on Duke. No. There's every team has its issues. Florida State's fans typically, and this is how fandom is, you're so solely focused on the one that you don't see the forest of the trees. You don't see that all these other teams have their own moments too. Like Miami losing at Boston College where they got outscored 11-0 in the last 4 minutes of a game to lose up there. Larinaga is a great coach. Khalil's a really good coach. Man, sometimes that stuff just happens.
So what is the crux of the debate then? Is your column more focused on Hamilton's accomplishment, Leonard Hamilton's accomplishments, or the fan base and the way they seem to?
Oh, it's totally just on the fan base. I don't take sides because I understand both sides. I'm really kind of on the fence. Like I think he's done a good job. He obviously isn't going to be fired and shouldn't be fired. But I don't think rational folks that are the Ham detractors, quote unquote, think he should be fired. They're just tired of not doing anything of note. And then the flip side of that is, well, man, getting to the tournament is an accomplishment. And then the counter to that is, well, it shouldn't be at Florida State. 6 out of 16 years isn't anything to do cartwheels about. And it just goes on and on and on. But what's interesting is that it's just so odd. it's just odd, the relationship this fan base has with this basketball coach, because he's a good coach. He's never embarrassed the university. He's been there now 6 times in 10 years, but everybody is so skeptical, and not everybody, but most everybody is skeptical that they're going to do anything in this tournament, or they'll do anything of note once they get to the tournament. And it's just an odd how I mentioned in the column that the Sunday night after they just made the tournament for the second straight season, literally Sunday night, as an hour after it happened, there are at least 3 threads on our message boards asking why Florida State doesn't care about basketball. When are they going to be successful? Why can't they get a new coach? The same day they made the tournament for the second straight year. It's just odd. And I'm not saying those people are wrong or right. It's just, I don't know that, I know we just made that comment about the baseball team. I don't know that other programs, fan bases, have this kind of relationship with their head coach.
Why is the relationship with him because, or is the detractor sort of thing because of the lack of, I don't want to say that's an intimacy, but just when it comes to football fans at Florida State digest everything, right? They're looking at the Twitter account of FSU football. They're following every single player on Twitter. They're looking at us. They're looking at competing websites, everything. Anything they can consume Florida State football, this podcast, they're eating it up. Meanwhile, basketball is not covered by any outlet to the degree that football is. You're not hearing from Leonard Hamilton 5 times a week the way you'd hear from Jimbo Fisher. You're not hearing from him after a game, then Monday, and then after Tuesday's practice, and after Wednesday's call-in show, Thursday. So how much of it is the fact that I don't know, like this program doesn't know Leonard Hamilton, and the basketball fans aren't that rabid to where they put their arms around the program, their arms around the coach to really get to know him, and they're like, well, whatever, let's just try some other guy. There seems to be like no loyalty or any sort of like affinity built up for this guy.
Well, but I think that's just the nature of this school. I mean, it is like you said. I don't know if you said it, but you intimated at it for sure that it's a football school, and it is. Yeah. Most Florida State fans are casual basketball fans, just like they're casual baseball fans. They'll tune in May to see how the team is doing. And with basketball, they'll pay attention. They maybe not watch every game. They certainly don't come to every game. But, they care and they want them to win. But, maybe a good portion of them don't realize the obstacles that Hamilton or anybody here faces, or the fact that before he got here, they'd had losing seasons in 7 of the last 9 years. And not just making the tournament, but having losing records 7 of 9 years before he got here. And that includes Pat Kennedy, who's the end of his tenure here was awful, because he got all those guys that came in the Metro days, graduated and left, and he couldn't restock the roster. And the ACC ate him up, and it certainly ate Steve Robinson up. I think they look at the basketball program, justifiably, and say, okay, we're just okay. We're not terrible. It's great. He's not Steve Robinson, but he's not Billy Donovan either. And shouldn't we be go looking for a Billy Donovan? I think that's what the Ham detractors want, is they understand and appreciate what he accomplished. And he's done some really nice things here. But he's won 4 tournament games in 16 years. Billy Donovan won 12 in 2 years. Let's go try to find that guy, because he's had 16 years now, and it still isn't, a dominant program. It's not a championship caliber program. Maybe there's a coach out there that can make Florida State one. I don't know if that's true. You could take a shot, sure. You could also, there's a lot more, like I said, there's a lot more Steve Robinsons than there are Billy Donovans.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to kind of pivot to, is that there's, we mentioned earlier in the week,
but you shouldn't be afraid.
Sure thing.
Yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to go try it. But what's just bizarre is that I think the rational folks that don't like Ham maybe as the coach understand he's not being fired and probably don't think he should be fired. They're just ready for something new because it's been 16 years. I'm not to bring up headlines again, but I made the point that if he had been fired after the 2008 season, when he missed the tournament his first 6 years, that's 6 straight years he missed the tournament. If he had been fired and the guy that replaced him came and went into the tournament 6 times in 10 years with an ACC championship and a Sweet 16 and going back to the tournament after losing 3 NBA players, man, they'd want to build a statue of the guy. 6 times in 10 years, but because he's still being held, and rightfully so.
I don't think so.
People always bring up 6 times in 16 years, as if 2005 has anything to do with now. If you're talking about the present day now, Florida State's in a good place. You wouldn't fire a guy that's just gone to the tournament 2 years in a row at Florida State because Florida State doesn't have that kind of history. But again, the counter is they could go get a guy that could make them a power like Florida did with Billy Donovan. So it just, it just is never ending. And that's the point of the column, and certainly the point of this ridiculous monologue that I've been on, is that it never ends. There's a counter to every point you want to make about his tenure. And I think the biggest thing is that it's just been 16 years. And people are like, okay, is he going to coach till he's 100, 110? He certainly doesn't look like he's getting any older. He looks like he's getting younger. He's in better shape than any of us.
Button.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, they wonder how long is this going to be okay, and is Florida State okay with just being a tournament team and not a championship caliber program?
See, I don't think there's any – this is going to instill a culture of complacency in the basketball program. Like, I don't think that, like, oh, this is what we are, this is what we're always going to be. Maybe this is how it's going to be under Leonard Hamilton. Let the guy finish out the string. I think overall, I mean, he
unless he goes 8-20.
Yeah.
But as long as it's like this, that's kind of my point. As long as it's like this, he's not getting fired. So what's the debate all about? Like, why even go on the board and say that Ham needs to go? He's not going. And why go on the board and say Ham is an awesome coach? He's not an awesome coach. It's just a weird debate that goes on in perpetuity. And it's not just on War Chant. It's everywhere, and it's certainly in my Twitter feed, that people telling me he's not a good coach or he's an awesome coach, and he's a good coach, and it's a good program. And he's probably, you would think he'd go to the tournament again next year, and maybe the year after that. So if you go 3 or 4 years in a row, if you stack them together, eventually, law of averages, you're going to make some sort of run and win a couple games. And that's all you're looking for at a place like Florida State, right? Or is it?
But at the end of the day, though, if this all happens, does the culture around here change? If he goes,
no.
That's the thing. If he goes to 4 straight tournaments and makes a Sweet 16, 3 out of the 4, I don't think the Tucker Center's at any more capacity than it is now.
The reason I say that is because I don't think the culture changed at Florida. And they won 2 national championships. That is still a football school, a football-loving school that even now, coming off an Elite 8 appearance they had last year, they weren't selling out that place this year. They weren't all that good this year. They're not. Schools in Florida. Just it's hard to sell basketball to them. They're not the fan bases in the state of Florida aren't Kansas and aren't Kentucky.
Let's sell you these various products and services. Listen to them right now. We'll be right back after this to wrap up the program. It's Wake Up War Chant, ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Brothers got to date to keep you can't hang around. Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our house. It has a
That's right. So, Corey, how come we're playing the song Our House?
Because it's by a band called Madness, and we're in the middle of March Well, we're not in the middle of it. We're right on we're on the precipice. It's about to start.
The
cusp in about, 6 hours from when you're listening to this is when the first game.
I'm Greg Gumbel. Welcome back to.
They're brought to you by Pennzoil.
Yeah.
And by, remember that guy? That guy was the best.
Tournament, yep. It's
here. It's here, everyone.
It's fantastic.
Florida State's a part of it.
They are.
For at least the next 2 days, because their game won't get over till midnight. So even if they lose in the first round, they'll be the last first-round team to lose. So they're a part of it for the whole first round.
Corey's so optimistic today. Look at you just spreading all this cheer.
I figure say Florida State played it Thursday at noon and lost by 12 points the first game of the day. You're like,
were you even in the tournament?
Yeah. But now all these other teams are losing, and you're still a part of it.
So, again, 9:50 Eastern time, they're hoping. That obviously depends on what happens in the game before them. But 8th-seeded Missouri taking on 9th-seeded Florida State over at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. That ought to be a good times. Hey, and by the way, did you see that? We got an email from the Nashville Seminole Club.
I did see that.
Told you.
Yeah, man, let's do it. I'm all for it.
Yeah. So shout out to the gentleman who got in touch with us about that, because I was sort of halfway joking. I didn't think we had taken on the world quite yet.
I feel like he said it was a pregame party.
Yeah, it wasn't. He wasn't inviting us to do like a meet and greet. It wasn't like, oh God, we'd love to have you guys there. But
it was the Friday night or the Thursday night, because the Thursday night I'm getting drunk, but Friday night, sorry, not Thursday, tonight, everyone, I'm getting drunk tonight. But Friday night we got to work, so we can't go crazy before the game.
Yeah, but if you're in the area, if you're a Florida State fan that's going up, it looks like Famous Saloon in downtown is going to that'll be home of the Nashville Seminole Club. They'll have a game watching party in the River Room over at Famous Saloon in downtown. So check that out if you want. Nashville
or actually go to the game.
Well, maybe
shouldn't the watch party be at the Bridgestone Arena?
Well, they were also saying the president of the actual Nashville Knowles Club was saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, if you're interested, there's only about get a ticket for $60 for all the games, I guess, for the entire session.
That's pretty good.
Starts at $60, and he actually plugged a different website, and then somebody responded to like, or you can actually go to the Seminole Ticket Club and get it through them or the Seminole Ticket.
Well, either way, yeah. Hopefully, it'll be like the beauty is at a 10:00 start. You can go to the saloon for 3 hours and then head on over to Bridgestone.
Get a good lube on.
Yeah, and get all full throated.
Yeah.
For the Mizzou Tigers.
Mr. Acorn actually also suggested, if you guys are going to go out there, the Acme Feed and Seed. It's a club. It's not what you'd think it would be with the name Acme Feed and Seed. Can we plug these places? It's Nashville. They're not competition. Bourbon Street and Boogie Bar in Printers Alley. So there's some places. And he also said if you like good blues music, which I think you're a blues guy, right? Corey, no one says, you emanate
for sure.
blues.
Yeah. My life is a blues song.
Yeah, late night sets at places Tootsie's and Legends Corner. Like they go on between 9 to 1 a.m. Okay. So we might be able to catch like the encore set of
tonight we're going to be all up in it, and Saturday night too.
All up in it.
But we got to work. Sadly, we got to work till 1 in the morning on the Friday night.
That's why people don't like people in the media, because you're complaining about having to do a job that's awesome.
Well, yeah, to sit on the court and get paid to do it.
Yeah. Actually, they'll probably put us up in the rafters. They'll probably put you on the court. They'll put me up in the rafters.
One of us up in the rafters.
Yeah.
The beauty, though, is that for a 10:00 start, and that is going to happen. There's no way we're going to have 2 seats on the floor, but there won't be all those seats won't be taken during the course of a 9:50 game. Yeah. So whoever's covering Xavier will be in the back right.
Xavier,
and you could be again though. If you don't want people to call you Xavier, don't make your logo a big X. It doesn't make any sense.
The guy Heisman, who we shouted out earlier in the program.
Man, this guy might as well be a co-host.
Well, I'm saying, I didn't read his full message because he was pointing. Remember, he was the one that said that I was pronouncing names weird. He spelled our names out, Aslan and Ko-Ray.
Ko-Ray.
So, all right, I wanted to tell a story in the previous segment. I'll get to it now. March Madness will always be a very interesting time for me because I remember, I think it was 2004, and you should remember these things if you're a guy like me because they were so full of highs and lows. So I remember the first time I ever made a sportsbook bet was 2004. I was living in Indian Village. It was the final.
I'll be honest, when you started this story, I thought it was going to be more like a heartfelt family type story.
This is going to be an emotional roller coaster.
Emotional heartstring story.
No.
Okay.
And I put, I want to say something like $300 down. I'm still in college, so this is a big sum of money. I put, I think, $300 down to win $1,200. And I don't know any of the games in the parlay. I don't remember any of them. I do remember I had Texas Tech winning one of the games because I'm like, Bobby Knight is at Texas Tech, and he's not going to lose a game. Okay. And I won it. The first ever bet I've ever made. I put $300 down to win $1,200. And I'm just like living large. Dollar bills, y'all. Maybe it was 2005. All right, so the next season comes around. I'm like, all right, time to start, starting this little nest egg. Let me start building up money so I can start a mortgage when I'm 22 years old or whatever. I'm just going to make dollars after dollars. So I do another 3-game bet, and I think it was the year Kansas played Bucknell. I think it was 2006. Mm-hmm. And this should all be preceded by the fact that at this point, it's March 2006. All right, and 2 or 3 weeks prior, my apartment burned down. Me and my roommate, we had an apartment together, and he was gone for spring break. I was still there. I was actually interning with WarChant.com, and my apartment burned down. I mean, literally, my apartment burned down. I lost everything I pretty much owned. And our friend who was...
Did you do it?
I had a charcoal grill that they said started the fire, but I had a charcoal grill that I used since I was like 10 years old, and I've never burnt any structure down. But I mean, I didn't get sued for it or anything like that. But there's that was probably what happened. I'm like, how though? How? It's not a gas grill. It didn't explode.
Right.
That's another conversation. So our apartment burns down, and then thankfully our buddy who's actually on the football team moved in with his girlfriend. He's like, I'm going to move in with her. You guys can stay in my one-bedroom apartment until you guys get on your feet or whatever. So I'm like, all right. I'm like, life just handed me a left hook and then like an uppercut. I'm like, it's all going to be fine. I'm like, I'm going to make a big bet. I'm going to win all my money. I'm like, it's going to be good times. I did like a 3-game parlay. I think I put like $500 down to win $1,500. And I want to say it was like Kansas lost to Bucknell, or maybe North Carolina lost to Bucknell. It was like it was a 2-15 or it was a 3-14 game.
Kansas lost to Bucknell.
And I'm like, piece of cake. I'm like, this is the last thing I need to wait to hit. I'm like, I'll be fine. And they lost. I'm like, Oh my gosh. And then I chased a bet, and then I just bet I bet like a 5-game parlay. And a parlay, how it works, folks, if you don't know gambling or whatever, parlay, you do multiple propositions, you do multiple games, but you have to get every single one of them right. So if you do 5 games,
you can't go 4 out of 5. No, it's got to be 5.
It's all
out
or
of
nothing.
5.
All or nothing. So I'm like, all right,
but the payoff is tremendous.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So
it's also really hard.
I'm like, all right, I need a safe bet.
You did a 5-game parlay?
I did a 5-game parlay, but I did all money line. So I had no spreads factored.
Right.
I pretty much picked the favorite in 5 games. I went chalk. Like on 5 games, I'm like, this is all good. I'm like, they were all like, 4 beating a 13, 5 beating a 12. They were all like comfortable. And this is before everybody knew that 5 versus 12 was a trap. I remember I put down $2,000, I think, to win.
What's going on?
I put $2,000 down to win, I think, like
you're in college
to win $1,300. Well, it's fine. Life, karma, I always do good karma, Corey.
So you bet $2,000 to win $1,300.
Yes, because it was terrible odds because they were all favorites. Right. It was all chalk. It was no spread. It was them winning straight up.
It's basically just a guaranteed $1,300.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I get my money back that I lost earlier, and I'm up like $800.
Yeah, you got it wired. You got it figured out. I see where you're going. I feel like this is gonna be a happy ending.
No, it's not.
Oh boy, I didn't see that one coming.
Because North Carolina was, I think that was maybe it was North Carolina that screwed me earlier in the day, and then Kansas on the return. But yeah, it was.
I know Kansas lost to Bucknell. North Carolina doesn't lose a lot of first round games. They might have then, but I know Kansas lost to Bucknell, and I think that was a 3-14.
Yeah. Anyhow, North Carolina, and I'm trying to find the bracket, and I can't find it, but North Carolina let me down. So this is such a weird thing because,
those are your March Madness memories.
Yeah. I lost my apartment. I lost everything I owned. I was sleeping on the couch in a 1-bedroom apartment. I let my buddy have the bedroom because obviously it was my fault and all that sort of stuff. And then I was $2,000 in debt, making $200 a month as an intern. And, yeah.
I mean, again, it's only a gambling problem if you lose.
It's true.
If you're winning a lot, it's not a problem at all. It's a success story.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you weren't knocking it out of the park.
Took a lot of time off. 3 years ago, I made my triumphant return. I did a 3-game parlay, and I think I won like $600. But I'm not going to do anything this year because I haven't had a chance to really look at things. That's really nothing of importance that you guys want to know about. I just want to let you know that what this,
it's like
this
your one
March Madness means.
It's like your one shining moment.
It is my one shining moment.
Or it's a one blank moment.
Yeah.
That's rough, man. I don't have any stories like that.
Yeah, don't do that, guys. Just don't.
That was almost a PSA right there. That was the more that you know. Don't bet 5-game parlays. Bet 3-game parlays.
Yeah,
and bet more money.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like if you were tuning into this for insider information on games, I'm not going to give you any of that sort of stuff.
Well, and I don't think anybody would take it from you if you
don't trust
after that story.
Don't trust me. But when it comes to football, though, you guys can trust me when that comes on later in the month to come. Tomorrow, we'll go into a full dive. We'll talk about the team, obviously. We'll both be in Nashville. We'll be able to talk to the team.
We hope to have maybe a sit-down with one of the assistant coaches, too.
Yeah, that'll be a good time. So we'll reconvene at that moment in time. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. It's Wake Up War Chant. Thanks for listening.
WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source, knows now is a time of true excitement for Nole fans everywhere. That's why WarChant.com is especially proud to announce its newest team member, senior writer Corey Clark. Combine Corey's expertise with owner Gene Williams and managing editor Ira Schafel, and WarChant.com boasts nearly 50 years of experience covering the team you love. It's Taggart time in Tallahassee, and that means now is the perfect time to sign up for your free 30-day trial. From National Signing Day to March Madness, WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.